Hello, good evening, and welcome to Road Atlanta today for the RCL Round 2. We're just in qualifying right now. We've got a pretty decent field of 14 drivers. They're all pretty high ranked because we had two splits today, so this is the split one race. As you can see right now, it is Dominic Ladler out on track, and I am Tim Ireland on the commentary. I am solo commentating today, so you'll have to put up with my terrible voice and opinions. No apologies, don't care. But except for that, hopefully I may be giving terrible opinions, but the racing on track should be pretty good, as it's Road Atlanta, as I said before. I've always unapologetically been a fan of Road Atlanta, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great racetrack and always gives good racing. And we've got a pretty high quality field, so it should turn out to be a pretty nice race. You can see Dominic Ladler out on track right now doing a hot lap in his trademark DreamHack Porsche. But we have other people on track today, such as Ali Zahir, Rowan de Hood. We've got Enrico Boidinger, Tony Thomas, Mark Hero, Chesu Monera, TP Racing. All the usual faces of RENNSPORT, all at one place at one time, which is perhaps more of the unusual thing about it. So, as we watch the guys go around here setting their first qualifying laps, I've got a few minutes, got 7 minutes left of qualifying, so they probably won't come out of the bag with their hottest laps. They've got plenty of space because everyone has their own qualifying track. So they can easily set up a nice banker lap and then spend the rest of the time trying to improve on that. As we see Ali Zahir deviating slightly from his normal Dazzle livery. He's got the MSI one this time from the EWC livery pack that we gave away on the Twitch stream then. Rowan de Hood has got the AMG Challenge, I think it is, livery, so a bit of a similar black AMG livery going on there, but it's not the same one. He had a good sector 1 there, just pipping for the purple sector. His sector 2 seems to be a little bit down, but he is currently second on the grid with a 117.9. Ali Zahir also doing a 117.9. So they're very, very close together. There's only 0.02 of a second in it there. And they're probably both fairly good contenders for a race win here today, because they're both pretty quick around Road Atlanta. I know Rowan de Hood likes the track very much. But David Sobrero showing them all a clean set of lights by setting a 117.3. So we've got half a second on top of Ali Zahir and Rowan de Hood now. Enrico Breininger in third, doing a 118.3. Dominic Ladler in... Sorry, Enrico Breininger is in fourth. Dominic Ladler is in fifth with a 118.4. I can't count. Enrico Breininger taking his now standard Aston Martin Vantage with the Shark livery. It's always good to have an extra car thrown in there in the mix. We've got a lot of AMGs, a lot of G911s here today. So it's always good to see a Vantage thrown in there. We've also got Julian Secor in the Audi R8 for a little bit of variety. Oh, Dennis Kurtz and Tony Thomas also in Audis. I think Mark Hireth is in a BMW as well. He is. Rowan DeHood just taking a little bit more out of David Sobrero's lead, doing a 117.8, putting him a little bit ahead of Ali Zahir. I am generally very pleased that we have a lot more liveries now in RENNSPORT, so that people can show off the cars a little bit more and be a bit more individual. It's a lot better than the olden days of us casting, where there was no real livery variation. At least now we have a few different colours. It's just a pity that there's so many black AMGs. Xavier Fernandez taking on the Purple Beast livery, which we'll commonly see driven by Tim Schroeder. So if I call him Tim Schroeder at any point during the cast, I do apologise. It will just be on reflex. David Sobrero pushing his pole a little bit further after Rowan DeHood got close, and he's gone down to a 117.1. Really trying to stamp his dominance on the event from the beginning there. But behind him, second Rowan DeHood, third Ali Zahir, there's only a tenth of a second between those. Then it's a few tenths back to Dominic Ladler and Enrico Breuninger, who are within hundredths of each other. So the top of the grid may not immediately be close, but there's little bunches of very close together people, which is always good for racing, as long as they can stay close together in the race. But this is a pretty kind of higher level group of drivers we have today, so they should do pretty well at keeping close to each other and keeping the racing action going and not causing too many incidents. Of course, even the high level esports drivers, anybody who watched our EWC coverage will know that they can make some reckless moves from time to time. But here, with damage on and it being a bit of a longer race, I think our drivers will be a bit more calm, take their time, make sure they make good moves. Got a minute left in qualifying now, so it's getting pretty close to the wire. People will start throwing it all out and leaving nothing on the table. Trying to get a little bit further up the grid. Beginning of the track here at Road Atlanta is pretty tricky to overtake on, so they'll definitely want to get as high up in the qualifying spots as they can before the race starts. Dominic Ladler just getting a couple of tenths ahead of Enrico Breuninger as he comes around to finish another lap. Gets a bit more of a gap, but doesn't improve his position. Ali Zahir pushing to try and get up from third if he can, but just eluding him right now. David Sobrero has called it a day and decided he doesn't need to go any quicker. As I don't think anyone else will get round another lap before the time runs out. So that is our starting order. We have David Sobrero on pole, Rowan DeHood finishing up row 1, Ali Zahir, Dominic Ladler, then Enrico Breuninger, Timothy Fritsch, Julie Secor. And my leaderboard went funny because the race just started. There we go. Julian Sacco, Mark Hera, Chester Manera, and Xavier Fernandez, Joel Soria, Tony Thomas, and Dennis Kurtzer finishing off the grid. As they go. Wow, that caught me off guard. David Sobrero going immediately to the front there, Rowan de Hood covering off in second place. Dominic Ladler fighting with Ali Zahir back in third place. A little bit of an off track from one of the Audis. David Sobrero keeping it nice and clean at the front of the field, using all of the track and more coming out of the S's. Rowan de Hood already hitting the flashes, but I don't think that's going to help him. Mark Herath side by side, but just backing out as they come into the double right-hander at the top of the field. And as they come onto the straight, it doesn't look like anyone's in slipstream distance at the front of the field there, so we shouldn't get too much action. It's all line astern as they come down the back straight. Hard braking zone into the chicane at the bottom of the hill, and then up and over the long right-hander to the start-finish straight. Oh, and we've got some contact there between one of the Audis and Mark Herath. That's Julian Sacco. And I think it was Mark Herath just waiting patiently until the traffic's gone and letting it go. Mark deciding to let Julian Sacco through. But at the front of the field we have David Sobrero with about 7/10 on top of Rowan de Hood, who's got about 7/10 again to Ali Zahir, Dominic Ladler, Enrico Bräuninger, Timothy Fritsch, and then Xavier Fernandez. Tony Thomas seems to be making a few moves, working his way past Chester Manera at the start of the race, but Chester's got a good toe down the straight, which will definitely close that up again. He's going to have to do some defending as they come into the chicane. But he backs out instead. Probably a wise move this early in the race. TP Racing narrowly avoiding a challenge there from Dennis Kurtzer. That was pretty close. But at the front of the field, David Sobrero doing a 1:17.2, which is only a 10th off his qualifying pace. So he's definitely wasting no time trying to get a gap here. He doesn't want to be fighting around the narrow track Road Atlanta and risk an incident. If you can avoid it, much better to get a gap and then manage that gap from further ahead. And everybody seems to be fairly comfortable in their positions right now. They seem to have opened up a few gaps between people and happy to kind of settle into the race pace and see what the race brings later on. We've still got 41 minutes remaining, so there's a lot that can happen there with tyres and tyre wear, tyre temperature. And so people want to be getting as settled as they can, as quickly as they can, and try to take it easy, so they don't have to wrestle the car too much at the end of the race. You don't want an unpredictable tyre setup here at Road Atlanta. It can make a lot of problems coming through the S's if you can't be entirely sure on your grip levels. David Severo now dropping into the 116s, doing a 116.9. He is not laying up. He's decided he wants to show everyone exactly who the boss is here at Road Atlanta, and he's just putting his foot down more and more, getting steadily more comfortable with the track and inching away lap by lap. His last lap almost a second faster than Road to Road. Ali Zahir was just on screen, but we've got Dennis Kurtzer fighting here with TP Racing. And they've been pretty close together for the last couple of corners. So we'll see what can happen. TP Racing just dropping back a little bit on the right left of the top of the hill, just after T1. So it seems like Dennis Kurtz is out to try and make some moves. His fastest lap is a little bit slower than TP Racing's, and it's not quite up to the same pace as Chestu Monero ahead of him, but I'm sure he'll be making something a bit more from that as the race goes on. He's maybe not had particularly clean air so far. Xavier Fernandez there getting all of the lights from Mark Heareth, who slips by easily coming into the chicane at the bottom of the hill. Running a bit wide, taking a bit of gravel. That's going to give him a bad exit. But Xavier seems to just back off a little bit and let him go with it. Maybe see if you can grab on the back and pick up a bit of pace. Follow Mark Heareth on his road towards Julian Chacot. Xavier getting a little bit sideways there, going through the S's. He seems like Mark Heareth's broken the back of that, but he can see ahead of him the fight with Julian Chacot and TP Racing. So he's definitely going to be pretty motivated to catch up with that. And Chacot's got a good draft here. TP Racing taking the defensive line, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. I think Chacot's going to get past before the chicane, and he does. TP Racing now has Mark Heareth to worry about. And Xavier Fernandez just having to back off a little bit coming up over the hill to avoid hitting into the back of TP Racing. But I'm sure he's going to be thinking about making a move fairly quickly. TP Racing running a little bit on the grass there. Grass. That lets Xavier Fernandez sweep around the outside. And that was a pretty good move in a section of track where you don't normally see a move happening. Just a little mistake there from TP Racing, and Xavier could sneak around the outside. Chestu Monero coming up to a fight between Tony Thomas and Timothy Frisch, which that's going to compromise their pace and definitely let Chestu catch up as they start fighting a bit for racing line. I think Timothy Frisch has got the speed to make a move here. Making moves into T1 generally a bit iffy. It's pretty easy to go off at T1, and once you do, you hit a very hard concrete wall, and with damage turned on, that is not a good day racing. Still 35 minutes left, you don't want to be making that kind of desperate move. But that's letting Chess-Tube Manera catch right up. Sure, Timothy Frisch will be trying to set himself up for a nice big draft down the back straight, but he's also going to be giving the double draft to Chess-Tube Manera. If this goes on too long, we don't want to be in a 3-wide situation at the bottom of the hill. Chess-Tube not quite got the top speed. Timothy Frisch looking to make a move, and he does on Tony Thomas. It's a nice clean move there. Chess-Tube Manera taking as tight a line as he can to try and maximise the amount of speed he carries over the right-hander as they come onto the home straight. And looks like Timothy Frisch is starting to gap these two a little bit as they start to squabble for position. That'll be the best situation for Timothy Frisch. He'll want them to start fighting so he can get clean away. He definitely doesn't want anyone making a comeback on the home straight. Sorry, on the back straight. Just while we watch this fight going on, I'll give you a little bit of an update. At the front of the field, we've still got David Cabrera, funnily enough, who's 5 seconds clear of Rowan de Herd, who has 2 seconds to Ali Zahir, 2.5 back to Dominic Ladler, and then nearly 5 seconds to Enrico Bräuninger. So all the action happened. Sorry about that, a little technical problem. But we are back once again with Enrico Bräuninger in 5th. He's lapping pretty good. He's doing some pretty fast lap times. He's lapping around the low 18s right now. So he's got a pretty good lap time. He's just lacking a little bit in pace compared to Dominic Ladler ahead of him, whose best lap is half a second quicker. So that's he's not likely to close up the gap anytime soon from that kind of situation, but you never know. As the race progresses, he might have a bit better tyres, or if he can stay out of trouble. With the pace of the field we have right now, it's going to be a couple more laps before we start seeing people getting blue flag situations. But we do have Julian Sicko, I think, just overtook Mark Heerath. We've got Chess-Tube Manera right on the back of Tony Thomas. These two have been kind of slugging it out for a couple of laps now, and that's really let Timothy Frisch disappear. Oh, and Dennis Kurtzer off the track there. That's lost him a couple of places, thrown him back to 13th. He was making good progress though, so that's unfortunate for him, as he takes a bit of a gravel trap trip. Chess-Tube just not quite able to maximise the Porsche on the straights here and make a move on Tony Thomas. It's where we'd naturally expect people to be making moves. He's getting a good drive out of the second of the right-handers and try to make a move coming into the chicane, but he just doesn't quite seem to be able to make that one work. But with the pace of Monero and Thomas slowing down a little bit as they fight, that is letting Sakura and Hirath creep ever closer to these two. That's it. And Chestu just not able to quite get the drive out of the straight, but he's definitely getting Julian Sakura into his draft now, so he's going to have to start looking in his rearview mirrors. We've got a bit of a 4-car train starting to form, and I'm sure it won't be long before it turns into a definite 4-car train, which will be even more music to Timothy Fritz's ears, because he's got a lot of work to do to catch up to Enrico Bräuninger. There's 16 seconds between them, so it's this little fight for 7th place. I think realistically they could possibly make it into 6th if they can catch up to Fritz again. But our drivers here are not necessarily known for working together to close gaps. They do like to go for a bit of individual glory, so yeah, I can't see them banding together to try to close the gap up to Timothy Fritz. Oh, and that was one of the Porsches off track there. Someone's going downhill. That was, in fact, Timothy Fritz. So, him going off track has catapulted Tony Thomas up to 6th place. In the battle he's currently in with Julian Sakura, we've got Chestu Monero not far behind that. And then Mark Hirath. There's been a bit of a split in the 4-car train, but again, with Thomas and Sakura starting to fight, I don't think it'll be too long before Monero starts to catch up and close that gap. Mark Hirath just a little bit off the back of it. Tony Thomas starting the daunting task of leading this 4-car train down the back straight. He's not covering too much right now. Seems to be trying to just stay in the racing line, but I'm sure we'll see him pop out. No. Julian Sakura going out to try and make a move. Gets a little bit alongside into the braking zone. And Tony Thomas not able to hold him off. That puts him right into the clutches of Chestu Monero. And Mark Hirath just letting him know that he's still there with a bit of light flashing. Tony maybe a little bit scared of the renowned cornering speed of the Porsche there. Took it a bit easier going through the apex, and that caused Chestu Monero to back up a little bit. And that's put him right into the clutches of Mark Hirath. Only 3/10 back as they make their way onto the dreaded overtaking straight. But this is a pretty close, bunched up group of cars right now. Tony Thomas holding them all off so far. Seems to be doing pretty good. Chestu just not able to get the the straight line speed out of that Porsche. A little bit frustrating for him, especially with there being so few overtaking opportunities in the curvier sections of the track. Not able to put his car alongside. It's Dennis Kurtzer right up the behind of TP Racing now. And Mark Heroth looking to make a move on Chestu Monera, who still hasn't given up on the chance of making his own move. Oh, and Mark Heroth just overcooking it into the corner, losing the back end. Oh, and I thought he'd recovered, but round he goes. So that's put him way back in the order compared to where he was then. He's got it all to make up again. But that's left Chestu Monera nice and clear to concentrate and put all his focus on Tony Thomas ahead of him again and see what he can make of it this time. We have got 23 minutes of the race remaining right now. And first place, David Cabrera, starting to catch up with the back markers now. He's just about to start doing some lapping moves. Ronda Hurd nearly 9 seconds back from him though, so he's got a while before he starts. Ali Zahir 5 seconds behind him. Ali Zahir only lapping a very small amount slower than Ronda Hurd. It's just that there is a gap between them, so making any kind of inroads into that is going to be a bit of an ask. And then Dominic Ladler 2 seconds behind him. Enrico Bräuninger 8 seconds behind Dominic Ladler. And then 26 seconds back to Julian Sacco. The Julian Sacco, Tony Thomas, Chestu Monera bunch. Xavier Fernandez a little bit behind that. But Dominic Ladler, we've seen him a few times in our events on RENNSPORT here on Twitch, that he's very good at conserving his tyres, and he always seems to have good pace towards the end of the race as well as at the beginning. So I'm not discounting him closing that gap up to Ali Zahir. It's less than 2 seconds, so he's held it pretty close. Ladler last time round was 1/10 quicker than Ali Zahir. So I wouldn't count him out for a podium just yet. He could still make one, that's for sure. We've seen Dominic Ladler pull quite a few victories out of the bag over the years here. There's a reason he's had so many championship wins to his name. Taking it nice and smooth through the S's there, not pushing. Carl's well under control. He's hitting all of the blind apexes nicely. Not taking too much curb on the death corner, as it's sometimes called, because there is a bump on the outside that will kill you. He needs to do a doesn't seem to be making the kind of overspeed would expect on the Audi. He just doesn't, I don't know whether he's not getting the power down enough at the beginning or he just doesn't quite have the top speed for it. We're losing out a little bit over the top of the hill there, but then he closes it all back up, coming through the S's and the double right-hander at the top of the track circuit, I should say. Xavier Fernandez continuing to lap a little bit quicker than the two cars ahead of him. Just closing that gap a little bit up at a time. Especially because Chesty Monero seems to have had a bit of a worse lap that time around. He's dropped back a little bit from Tony Thomas. David Sobrero there, just overtaken Mark Heareth on going a lap down, obviously. He seems to be nice and comfortable at the front there. He's lost a bit of his lead to Rowan de Hood, but I'm sure it's just because of the traffic. He doesn't need to make a move quickly. He can wait and pull back and let it do it nice and safe. He's got enough of a gap. And of course, Rowan de Hood still has to overtake the same cars. Chestu got a bit of a run this time. He is closing the gap up, just not quite fast enough. Unless he's going to make a dive into the chicane. But nope, he's backing out. It's still not time for those kind of moves. 16 minutes of the race left. And he's got Xavier Fernandez right behind him. Timothy Frisch back in 12th. Making a move on, I think that's TP Racing he's caught up with now. And Enrico Breuninger having a bit of an Enrico Breuninger race. He always seems to find the space and sit in it for the rest of the race. Unfortunate for him. Chestu Monero with probably his best chance so far. He got really close up behind Tony Thomas there. Just, the gap's opened up a little bit, didn't quite get on the power as quick. Behind that you can see Xavier Fernandez and Dennis Kurtz are fighting. Trying to once again make the battle for 7th place, a 4-car train. Let's see if Xavier, sorry, not Chestu Monero, Xavier Fernandez with the big R8. See if he can make a bit more of a move coming down the back straight on Chestu. He seems to get a good run. He's getting a good pull in the slipstream there. You can see the gap closing visibly up to Chesty Manera, but not quite quick enough. Pulls in and takes it easy through the chicane. Chesty staying a little bit wide there. Maybe just wanted to make sure that the door definitely wasn't open. But he pulls back in. Xavier Fernandez taking the sensible route and not making a move out of it. He's taking all of the curbs as he comes through the S's. The AMG really does handle curbs well. And they're pretty beefy in sections of this track. Oh, Chesty not getting a good run, and Xavier Fernandez just floating past him. No pressure there. Behind Chesty Manera is the Porsche of Timothy Fritsch, who's a lap down in 12th place. Which confused me for a while, I've got to admit. David Sobrero up front as stretches lead to 10 seconds now with 12 minutes of the race to go. So he's looking pretty good and pretty comfortable. He's still doing mid-17s. He seems nice and happy with what he's doing. And he has a little bit of empty track ahead of him before he starts catching up with the four-way fight ahead of him, which is this one. Xavier Fernandez looking to make a move on Tony Thomas. Bumper to bumper as they come round the second right-hander and onto the back straight. He's well inside the slipstream range here. He's going to want to maximise the amount of overspeed he can get out of that before he pulls out. Tony Thomas moves in. Xavier Fernandez moves over. And Tony Thomas not even attempting to fight that one into the chicane. He just lets it go, which puts him back a couple of car lengths and back with his old friend Chesty Manera in his mirrors. Oh, just getting a little bit off track there, getting a bit squirrely on the exit. Taking T1 very wide. That's giving Chesty a chance. And through he goes. Now Tony Thomas, see if he can use the pace advantage of that R8 to his advantage on the back straight, but I think he'll have to get a little bit closer before he starts to worry about that. David Sobrero getting past Timothy Fritsch, I believe that was. And he'll want to get all the overspeed he can as he goes past Tony Thomas. Choosing not to use the draft. Tony Thomas moving over and letting him through. See if he can latch on the back and use that to help drag him back up to Chesty Manera. And I think with my usual commentator's curse, I've cursed Dominic Ladler, who's now 13 seconds behind Ali Zahir. I don't know what happened to him there, but he's definitely seems to have had a bad pace the last couple of laps. But that is putting him very close to Enrico Breuninger. Well, Dominic Ladler's car is very much not there. I think he might have had a meeting with Mr. Wall at some point. That might be why his pace has dropped right off. Yeah, anybody got any spares for a Porsche? Please contact Dominic Ladler after the race. Enrico shouldn't have too much of a problem making a move on Ladler here, especially on the back straight where the amount of damage Ladler's taken will definitely impact his top speed. No, but Enrico not quite able to close the gap up enough. But 8 minutes left. 6-7 laps-ish. He should, he's got plenty of time to find an opportunity. And he's closed up quite a decent gap to get to Dominic Ladler here. Obviously, Ladler having a bit of a self-inflicted penalty. Or handicap. I'm assuming it was self-inflicted. It might not have been. I didn't see the incident. But Enrico all over the back of him here. We've said before on cast that Dominic Ladler very good at defensive driving, and I think he's showing that pretty well here. He's clearly lacking some pace because of the damage on his car, but he's seems more than able to keep Enrico Breuninger behind him. Then outbraking Breuninger into the chicane at the bottom of the hill. He taking a very defensive line, and it looked like Breuninger had got the move done and dusted, but those legendary Porsche brakes bringing Ladler straight back into the fight. One possible good thing for Dominic Ladler here is he doesn't have any suspension damage, it's all aero damage, so although his car looks pretty messed up, it'll only cost him a little bit of aero. He's not like he's driving left or right hand down, so his top speed won't be too bad. He'll lose a bit because of the aero disadvantage, obviously, and he'll probably lose a bit on corner speed, but the Porsche has that to spare. So he's more got to worry about the top speed down the straights, but he seems able to just manage to keep Enrico Breuninger at bay every time here. The Aston Martin is a beefy machine, but it does take a while to wind up. And the chest Humanera, Xavier Fernandez, Tony Thomas fight has just spread out a little bit now as the race has gone on. Rowan de Hood 13 seconds down the track from David Sobrero, who is still lapping in the low 17s. He's just under 17.2, which is pretty impressive at this stage in the race, that's for sure. Rowan doing an 18, Ali Zahir in an 18.6, 10 seconds behind him. Obviously, Dominic Ladler's pace is gone a bit in the pan because of his damage. Roland goes past Tony Thomas. Nicely moves out of the way. Enrico Breuninger still not able to get past the half Porsche of Dominic Ladler. Manages to get so close, but just doesn't seem to be able to get that little extra bit and make the overtaking opportunity happen. He's closing up now and coming through the double right-hander. See if he can get the power on quick enough. Ladler just getting that extra drive out of the corner from the rear-wheel drive Porsche. And you can see the gap opens up and it starts to close up towards the end of the straight as Ladler starts to suffer a bit because of his aero damage, but just not quite enough for Enrico Breuninger to actually make a move from it. There's only 2.5 minutes left, so if Enrico is planning to do something, he needs to think about doing it pretty quick. Closes up through T1, gets nice and close going into the S's. Ron de Herd just going to make a move to lap Chestu Manera and then Xavier Fernandez, David Sobrero. Having a nice easy drive. He's out on a Sunday trip. He's just doing a 17 dead as he passes Chestu Manera, I believe. No, that can't be Chestu Manera, was it? No, it was Mark Hareth. Before he makes a move on Julian Sicko. Sicko getting a little bit twitchy, coming onto the big back straight of the track, but staying well out of the way and letting Sobrero through and tucking straight in behind, getting as much of that extra speed as he can. Enrico Breuninger still desperate to try and get a move on Dominic Ladler, but not able to get past. Ladler still nursing his Phantom of the Opera Porsche around the track with a pretty kind of deft skill you'd expect from someone who's won the RCL 3 times? 3, I think. Or is it 4? It might be 4. I can't remember. I've been talking far too much. My brain is fried. Just closing the gap again as they come into the chicane, but not close enough. Ali Zahir getting a little bit sideways, but still trucking on in his AMG. We haven't seen much from Ali Zahir here today, because he's been doing a bit of an Enrico Breuninger race. But I think it looks pretty clear that David Sobrero is going to take the win with a pretty impressive set of laps, it's got to be said. He's just done a 17.1. He's finishing the race on a 16.9. That was a pretty masterful display from him. And Rowan de Herd coming to take the second place vindicating himself from the Road Atlanta race we did last weekend. Alizar here taking third. And it looks like Dominic Ladler, despite his epic weight save, well, maybe because of his epic weight saving, will be holding on to fourth. I don't think Enrico is going to be making a move from there. Well, that means Dominic Ladler and Enrico Breuninger round out the top 5. Secours, Xavier Fernandez, Chesu Munera, Tony Thomas, Dennis Kurtzer, TP Racing, Timothy Fritsch, Mark Hirath, Joel Soria all finished the race already. And yeah, I think Road Atlanta has done what it always does and delivered a great race there. We had some fantastic battling in the mid-pack. The front was less exciting, I think, because it got spaced out, but they did a brilliant job of setting a tremendous pace and having fantastic consistency throughout. So if you want to watch any more racing from us, I believe we'll be back next week with what is it? It's RRNL next weekend. It's not in the GT3s, is it? That was last week. Or it could be the season finale in the GT3s again. What did we race last week then? I can't remember. It was the M2. Yes. I have a terrible memory. I've said it before and I'll say it again. And I'll say it again after that. But yeah, so next week is the 90-minute Notch Life finale in the GT3s. I hope you join us for that. And I think there is an RCL the day afterwards. But yeah, that was another great opening from the no, I have too many letters. The RCL. There we are. Rowan de Herd on the top of the grid with 50 points. Dominic Ladler with 46. The table's disappeared, so I don't know what anyone else has got now. But it's fine. You'll figure it out. Someone will post it in the Discord. I think that's enough rambling from me. So thank you for joining us here tonight, and I hope to see you again next weekend. Goodbye.